This is cool. I'll change the mod. Give me a second.
The next morning, people spotted the devices. They saw flashing lights, batteries, and tangled wires. To most people, it looked like a bomb. Someone called 911. Police rushed to the scene. They evacuated the area and destroyed one of the devices in a controlled explosion. But that was just the beginning. Reports poured in from across the city. Dozens of these strange devices were spotted on bridges, tunnels, and buildings. The city thought it was under attack.
Suspicious packages were discovered all over Boston. Roads were closed, Charles River was closed, and questions were asked about terrorism.
The entire city went into lockdown for almost 8 hours. Police and federal agents searched the devices.
Boston police did shut down a bridge, several main roads, including an interstate, and stopped boat traffic on the Charles.
Luckily, one of the officers happened to be a fan of Aqua Teen. He recognized the characters. He told his team, "These aren't bombs, they are mutants, just cartoon characters." The lockdown finally ended, and the fear subsided.
Dozens of electronic devices placed all around the city to promote the Cartoon Network show Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but they were mistaken to be bombs.
The panic was over, but the authorities had a new mission: find and punish those who caused this mess. Police quickly tracked down the 2 men who put up the signs. They were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. But those men weren't the masterminds. They were just hired to install the signs. So the authorities went after the network itself. To settle the case, Adult Swim's parent company paid the city $2 million in damages. They also issued a formal public apology. The creators of Aqua Teen Hunger Force understood how much trouble they caused, but instead of showing regret, they tried to joke about it. They created a new episode titled Boston. They made fun of the entire incident.
Turn on the tiny magnetic light. Okay, you look more like a device.
Network executives weren't amused. They banned the episode before it could ever air. For 8 years, the Boston episode stayed hidden. It was the only episode of the series that was never released. Then, in 2015, someone leaked it online. Viewers were furious. Many felt it was disrespectful to joke about the mass panic. This next chapter proves that even the most innocent shows can sometimes go too far. Sesame Street. It's hard to imagine Sesame Street being disturbing. The show first aired in 1960, and it became a must-watch for children all over the world. Kids loved Big Bird, Elmo, and the other Muppets. But hidden in Sesame Street's history is one episode that almost ruined the show. It was titled Episode 847, and it aired in February 1976. The episode had a simple goal: teach kids about what matters. Producers the best way to get kids are running from their TVs. The episode starts with a strange man. It turns out that the bird belongs to a witch. She wants it. Angry, the witch threatens to turn David into a bastard. Later, she returns
Can't you see the reality? It's eyes and see, can you see the reality? Can't you see the reality? What's it? Breaking centrality. Understand the pain, angels, understand the rain, and have the pain. That doesn't grain, the pain, the angels, train us, and the pain. Legions and trades, and passing guys, and the process brain, understanding, and becomes trending. Understand that the dreams are fatal, ties, and the cradle, turn. Break the tries and the judgment. Trick a mind to the end of the time. The central his eyes and the stricken rhyme. Stand the sun and the divine. Listen, see great. Yum, it's delicious.
Some even created elaborate someone believes in they panic. Some people experienced panic attacks before realizing the image wasn't real. But for the sake of YouTube, we can't show those extreme reactions, but they are on TikTok. For older adults, like most parents in these videos, extreme stress can trigger heart problems. But the harshest warning came from law enforcement. Police called the prank stupid and potentially dangerous.
Let's just say you do respond, you have a weapon. Somebody can get serious. Your own personal family member can be seriously injured.
Even with all the warnings, the trend didn't stop. Police took action. In October 2025, Ohio police arrested 2 teenagers for faking home invasions with the AI homeless photo. In both cases, police were called to the home only to realize it was a joke. The sheriff's office made it clear. This behavior is not a prank, it's a crime. And AI seems to be trying to stop this homeless man prank too. When NBC reporters asked ChatGPT to generate an image of a homeless man in my home, it refused to. ChatGPT replied, I can't create or edit an image like that. It would involve depicting a real or implied person in a situation of homelessness. If AI tools keep blocking these kinds of requests, this trend might disappear soon. But the psychological harm it causes to homeowners won't disappear so easily. This next trend turned no sleeping into something people should aspire to do. the toxic productivity trend. Toxic productivity is the idea that you must be productive at all times. It's about not letting a minute of your day be wasted. And TikTok is full of videos pushing that message. Okay, so let me be clear. I am all for productivity. I believe that in order to achieve something great, you gotta work really hard and really smart. Being productive is a great thing. But toxic productivity is something else. People push themselves to unhealthy extremes in order to accomplish more, often at the expense of their health. And you do not want to sacrifice health. But TikTok's algorithm kept feeding the productivity obsession. Soon people were being shown endless videos with extreme productivity hacks. TikTokers giving productivity advice probably mean well. The problem starts when viewers take those routines and push them too far. A perfect example is the sleep is for the weak mindset. These videos show people staying up all night to work, bragging about not needing rest. Losing sleep becomes a badge of honor. And it gets worse. There's a trend called 5 to 9 before your 9 to 5. You'll see people trying to finish a full list of tasks before 9 a.m. By the time their actual job begins at 9, they're already exhausted. Last but not least, the that girl trend. The hashtag amassed over 1.6 billion views. The trend encouraged women to become hyper-productive girl bosses. I mean, it sounds respectable, but there is one major problem. Most people can't sustain that kind of schedule without burning out. Eventually, creators started speaking out. They made videos and blogs rejecting toxic productivity. One writer put it this way: when you push yourself too hard for too long, it's easy to start measuring your self-worth by how much you can get done. You start to feel guilty for wasting time on activities you used to enjoy. And I'm guilty of this too. Spending time with friends feels like falling behind. Even sleeping starts to feel like a waste of time. The result? Burnout. Burnout isn't just feeling tired, it's a complete physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. Many who tried the that girl lifestyle reported feeling exhausted, unhappy, and overwhelmed with guilt. More creators joined the conversation calling for change.
Issue is more around this kind of societal acceptance we have of prioritizing productivity, prioritizing self-care in a way that's actually kind of destructive.
To make things worse, many of these perfect productivity videos aren't even real. They're staged to look impressive.
People who post these very aspirational versions of themselves online and then expect us to believe that that's who they are.
Again, I believe that hard and smart work is the key to success, but real productivity requires balance. You work hard, then you rest. You give your best, then you recover. And fun fact, the best ideas come when you're not working. This next trend made exploding with anger look normal. Crashing out. For a long time, crash out meant going to sleep very quickly because you were exhausted. But in early 2024, TikTok gave it an entirely different meaning.
Crashing out is when you lose all self-control, no care in the world about any of the consequences to follow.
For those of you who don't know, simply put, it means becoming suddenly, uncontrollably angry or distressed. On TikTok, this wasn't just slang. It was a trend that made young people think violent outbursts were okay. In 2024, videos with the hashtag crashing out spread across TikTok. They encouraged reckless behavior. The message was simple: stop holding it together, lose control. This trend took off. Soon TikTok was filled with videos of people screaming, having emotional outbursts, or acting erratic. People recorded themselves breaking down over work, school, or relationships. They were crashing out for views. Within months, the hashtag crossed 1 billion views. This trend was horrible for mental health, teaching people that it's okay to act like this. Therapists said the trend made people absorb the idea that emotional crashing is a valid coping strategy. In other words, it rewired how people handled stress. Instead of learning self-control, people were performing their meltdowns for an audience. Despite the warnings, the trend only got more popular. The more dramatic the meltdown, the more engagement it got. The crashing out trend even had its own anthem. It was a viral sound called Let It Burn. The lyrics told listeners to burn it all to the ground. And that's exactly what many did. Crashing out videos showed people making impulsive and destructive decisions. They quit their jobs without notice, and friendships lashed out at family. Each crash out brought only a temporary wave of relief, attention, and validation. But it also left behind real consequences. Broken relationships, lost opportunities, and lasting regret. It's normal to feel frustrated, but crashing out is not the solution. When you're faced with a problem, use your brain, not your heart. Up next is a trend that left thousands of people living in constant fear. The Kia Challenge. The Kia Challenge started with a video of someone breaking the law. On July 2022, a TikToker filmed themselves hot-wiring a car. The trick only worked for Kia and Hyundai models, but it was shockingly simple. Filming a crime was reckless enough, but what came next was far worse. People were inspired to do the same. A group of young boys saw the clip and decided to try it. They filmed themselves hot-wiring cars and driving. They even gave themselves a nickname.
They're called the TikTok Kia Boys. Teens like these four stealing cars and using them to commit violent crimes.
Soon, other young people joined in. TikTok was flooded with stolen car videos.
They're saying it is called the Kia Challenge. It's targeting cars leading to more thefts.
The hashtag got millions of views. The damage wasn't just the stolen cars, it was what it did to people's minds. Kia and Hyundai owners were living with constant anxiety. Every morning began with the same question: will my car be next? People checked their driveways multiple times a day. Some had trouble sleeping at night. Others said they couldn't focus at work because they kept thinking about their car. Psychologists have a name for this: hypervigilance. It's when the brain stays on high alert, scanning for danger that might not even exist, and it's mentally draining. That kind of fear changes people. They change their routines, avoid certain places, they stop feeling safe even at home. But the mental stress was worse for those whose cars were actually stolen. Researchers studied the psychological impact of car theft. One woman whose car was stolen said, "I have PTSD now. I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes crying with nervousness." The news coverage made things worse. Tens of thousands of Kias and Hyundais were stolen. Some had their cars stolen twice in one day.
A woman in Highland Park found out the hard way recently, just a few days ago in broad daylight. Her 2017 Hyundai was stolen where it was parked outside her second job.
Each new story reminded people that they could be next.
It's super frustrating, it sounds like. Now I have to be careful where I park and pay attention, and it's going to change where we'll probably take my wife's car.
Some considered even selling their cars because of the constant paranoia. The police began cracking down on the crimes.
Locally, Arlington police say they've made several arrests and stress auto theft in Texas is a felony, which many young people might not realize.
Under heavy pressure, TikTok finally intervened. They took down the videos showing how to hotwire cars, and most importantly, TikTok banned the Kia Challenge. Slowly, the trend died out, and for the first time in months, car owners could finally relax again. This trend didn't just steal cars, it stole peace of mind. It turned something as ordinary as owning a car into a source of anxiety. This next trend turned something completely natural into something terrifying. The aged filter. For the sake of your mental health, don't waste your time using the TikTok aged filter. This headline warned people to stay away from a viral TikTok filter, and they had a good reason. The filter was called Aged. It was released in 2023. The aged filter used AI to predict how users would look when they were old. It showed faces covered with wrinkles and saggy skin. At first, only a few users tried it. Then celebrities joined in, and it got really popular.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Soon, everyone wanted to see their future face. The hashtag aged filter crossed 1.2 billion views. People laughed at the results. Some resembled their parents or grandparents. It was all fun until the tone shifted. The trend surprisingly made young people terrified of aging. TikTokers began panicking after using the age filter. One woman stared at her aged face in disbelief.
Really? This is how I'm going to look like?
The reaction wasn't unusual. It was becoming the norm. One viral clip showed a 14-year-old kid explaining what they are doing to stay looking young. Another wrote, "I'm 18, but I feel like I'm past my prime. I only have so many years left before I start decaying and become ugly and sad." TikTokers started making plans to stop themselves from looking old. Posts appeared everywhere. Getting Botox on Tuesday for the first time. Bought $200 worth of skincare products after. Doctors warned people not to take the filter too seriously.
Just seeing the filter alone should be an immediate button for you to then call your local provider and just immediately go and get Botox.
But the warnings couldn't slow the panic. Millions already believed that aging was something to prevent, not accept. Even worse, that fear spread to children. Kids who hadn't finished growing up who were now terrified of growing old. This next trend made people comfortable living in filth. Bed rotting. The bed rotting trend started in 2023. It was a simple concept. It meant spending much or even all of your day in bed by choice. People could scroll on their phones, listen to music, and eat junk food. The goal was to relax completely. No plans, no pressure, no productivity.
I could rock bed all day. Like, there's nothing that is going to get me out of bed.
For those who were stressed out, bed rotting seemed like the perfect escape. Videos showed cozy bedrooms, soft blankets, and snacks within reach. The hashtag bed rotting racked up an insane 900 million views. It looked harmless, even comforting. But the longer it went on, the darker it got. People weren't just resting for a day or two. They were shutting down for weeks at a time. Bed rotting slowly turned into extreme laziness. It became an excuse to stay in bed for unreasonably long periods of time. The first first sign of trouble was the filth.
This is not normal, right? This person probably has a lot of problems, and I can't believe that people are making this a trend.
People were living in rooms that were flooded with trash. Photos showed rotting food, dirty clothes, and moldy dishes.
They have cups laying around their room just filled with mold because they're just bed rotting.
Some slept on mattresses covered in junk. This trend convinced people that neglecting themselves was somehow healing. But the clutter and dirt weren't the only danger. The real health came from the physical and mental damage caused by eggs. Bed rotters develop medical conditions usually seen in the elderly or bedridden. One TikToker shared her story. Stress and improve mental health. But the opposite happened. Sleep doctors warned that bed rotting disrupted normal sleep cycles, and that led to chronic fatigue and insomnia. And I don't think it takes a doctor to know that laying in bed all day makes you feel terrible. Companies even began That company offered $25,000 to whoever could stay in bed. Sadly, the trend is still active. Everyone needs rest, but bed rotting isn't recovery. It's ruining your mental health. This next trend was supposed to heal people, but broke them instead. I agree with them. 2024 TikTok was a trend called I Agree With Them. Here's how it worked. Users would start their videos by saying something positive about their lives. The music switched to make them feel something tragic or disturbing. For instance, Rose said she met someone. Psychologists saw the trend and they were horrified. The biggest reason was that people were monetizing the dark parts of their lives. TikTokers were using this trend to humble brag about tragedy, and they were getting paid for it. By July 2025, the media was sounding the deal. They urged parents to stop their kids from joining them. This was not a healthy way to get something. Like I Agree Different trend top people, they can get huge solution. That's not just almost everyone heard about this next trend. They didn't realize how dangerous it was. 2023 TikTok release made a lot of people use it. It's called the filter used AI to make it see your face, look like you got makeup.
I want to see what the Lambo filter looks like. Honestly,
Figured out Anxiety and delusion are two different things. This next trend encouraged people to starve themselves.
Huh?
Girl dinner.
This is my meal. I call this girl dinner. Girl dinner. Girl dinner.
Girl dinner was more than a TikTok trend. It was so popular that Popeyes launched a special menu inspired by it. But behind the catchy name was something dangerous. It all began when a TikToker shared a fun fact about medieval peasants. She researched that peasants had nothing to eat but bread and cheese. They rarely cooked big meals. Inspired by that, she filmed her own meal.
This is my dinner. I call this girl dinner or medieval peasant.
Her idea was relatable. It was a quick, low-effort meal for people who didn't want to cook. Putting it together took just a few minutes and practically no energy. Her video went viral, and it started the girl dinner trend. Others posted their own girl dinners, mostly snacks, fruits, and leftovers. Soon, the girl dinner hashtag hit 7.1 billion views. The idea seemed innocent enough, until it started causing mental health issues. Over time, the idea behind girl dinner shifted. TikTokers began competing to see who could eat the least. Someone posted a few strawberries as her girl dinner. Others called ice cubes their dinner. One person claimed sleep was their girl dinner. They were real posts with thousands of likes. People in the comments praised them for being disciplined. But it wasn't discipline, it was unhealthy. And it led people to have serious eating issues. By 2024, headlines were calling it Gen Z's disturbing new trend. Despite the warnings, the hashtag hasn't disappeared. Social media has a way of making the extreme feel normal. Push yourself to burnout, that's dedication. Eat nothing, that's discipline. Blame yourself for cancer, that's manifestation. But somewhere along the way, we forgot to ask, is this okay? Visual Venture. Alright, so we talked about TikTok trends destroying mental health. There's a video where I talk about the dumbest TikTok trends of all time. Trends like peeing in your pants, replacing sunscreen with beer, and even stealing money from the bank. Click here to watch it. Love you guys. Peace.
Reddit, you are disgusting. The CEO, the officers, everybody who's in this company is 100% liable for everything that's happening.
The explicit stated purpose of the subreddit is to damage a person's reputation, to collectively attack them. Just beneath the surface of Reddit, you can find some really horrible stuff.
Reddit was built on free speech, but some people turn that freedom into something dark. Today we'll explore the most disturbing communities on Reddit. We'll start with the weird ones and work our way to those that are absolutely disgusting. So as you guys can probably hear, I am sick right now, but I'm still making these videos for you guys. I am really trying my best to not miss a weekly upload, but we are getting pretty close, so it would mean the world if you subscribe, and I promise to do my best to be as consistent as I possibly can. I'm Visual Venture, you are awesome. Anti-work. In 2013, a strange community appeared on Reddit. It was called Anti-Work. But Anti-Work wasn't your average discussion board. It was a place for people who hated the idea of having a job. They thought it was wrong that people needed to work just to afford basic needs. Anti-Work's tagline made their message clear. Unemployment for all, not just the rich. They invited anyone who wanted to end work or enjoy a work-free life to join. It was an active group. Members shared stories about bad bosses, burnout, and how work ruined their lives. One post read, "Why do we have to work on a planet none of us asked to live on?" Another said, "I don't need a job and I feel great. There's nothing good that having a job would do for me." They even recommended books that supported their beliefs. Their favorite titles were The Abolition of Work and In Praise of Idleness. For years, Anti-Work was a strange, small community. It had a few thousand users. Then the pandemic hit, and suddenly Anti-Work didn't sound so crazy anymore. The pandemic sent the world into lockdown. Millions lost their jobs. Others were stuck in miserable jobs for low pay. For the first time, people everywhere began to question what work actually meant. And when they searched online for answers, they found Anti-Work. Within a year, the subreddit grew to 1.7 million members. But the new members weren't like the originals. They had different views on what it meant to be anti-work. The early members